All right. So on YouTube, Julie, we should be able to see the comments. I'm trying to get in there now.
Oh, this is going to be
And we
tricky.
will be able to see it. YouTube.
Oh, so it's double. Okay, so it says say something. I've said something. Oh, may need to mute this because I can hear myself twice.
I can't get onto YouTube on my laptop. So if y'all are, it doesn't, oh yeah, it looks like we've got 22 people on. What's up, y'all? Give us just a minute. We're trying to get all the kinks worked out. Thank you for coming in and hanging out with us. All right, let's see if I can see myself live. Your channel. All right, it says we're live now. Cool.
Okay, so on mine, I'm having some feedback when I bring up the YouTube, so I'm not going to be able to see
Yeah,
people's
that's
comments.
cool. Yep.
So if there's anything, you just tell me.
Oh
I'm learning.
gosh,
I'm
hey
learning,
guys,
Tiffany.
I'm seeing so many people. Wow. Okay, so many people are on here. It looks like we've got 30 right now. Oh, Jen and Dave, I'm glad you were able to get some coffee so you could actually stay awake. We've got so many people out there. And Anna, I'm not making any promises that we will not make you buy anything. So, enablers, we may be. So, Julie, welcome to my channel. I am super excited to have you here today. So, guys, if you don't know Julie, tell us your channel name and a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my channel name is Red Dragonfly Studio. I am a mixed media artist. I've been teaching classes and doing art for a really long time. I started creating because it was a real opportunity for me to express myself in my journals, and I started really early, just having a journal. First, I started with a little diary, like the tiny ones that have a tiny lock, and then it
Yes,
evolved
I had
into.
one.
And then, there was a tiny incident where my brothers got a hold of my diary and cut the lock out, and they read it. And so from that day forward, I thought, my journals have to be a thing where I can. It's just for me, so that when anyone else reads it, they're not going to really know what's happening. So then that's where I switched to using images and pictures and drawings, and I even started changing my handwriting, so it's a little difficult. Like when people see my handwriting now, they think it looks like tagging, like a tagger. So yeah, so that's how it started. Thanks to them and their mischievous ways, I started creating, and so now we teach a series of classes, retreats. We've been teaching classes at a place called the Work of Heart in San Jose. For about 8 years. And then I also teach vision board, which I totally am inspired by the idea of getting clear about what it is that you want. So I've taught classes for a long time, but I primarily create quietly at home after work because I have a full-time job. Which is the other part about what I want to teach is that people are thinking, okay, I got to wait till I retire, I wait till the kids leave or whatever, but you really want to start building that practice now, even if you just do a little bit at a time. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, thanks to the brothers for giving you the nudge to keep that secret. And I also have a full-time job, so I 100% encourage those, and I find it as well where people just think, oh, I don't have time, and then people that are in the work arena. It actually just happened to me this week. Someone was like, I mean, but I don't really understand. What do you do now? And I'm like, oh gosh, bless your heart. See, in the South, we can just get away and say, bless your heart. And like, oh, bless it, Lord. So I'm like, well, it's, and I tried to break it down, but some people just don't get it, and that's okay. That's why we
Yeah,
have our own tribe, of
right.
all of these people that are showing up today to hang out with us because, to each their own, and some people don't really understand it, but that's okay as well. So you mentioned, doing retreats and things and being able to teach outside of, your home. What are you doing right now in COVID? Like, how is that impacting you and kind of being able to get that creative outlet?
I think, well, I think the biggest part is I'm learning how to create with people around. So my husband's here. We have a little dog. It's just us. But we work, and we've got. I'm normally used to just kind of waiting till he goes away, and then I create on the patio or whatever. And so now I'm really having to create with someone in the space, and I didn't realize it was going to be a thing. But it's been an adjustment,
Hmm.
because I kind of go into a zone, and sometimes things happen. The radio happens, you can't find something, or I can't find something, and so we start. I'm interacting with people. So this
Right.
is even this part here of having this conversation and creating at the same time, completely my out of my comfort zone. So
Yeah.
so, and I think our first Juicy Soul that we're about to have next week is going to be the first time that we're going to be teaching. I'm going to be teaching it via Zoom. But I do
Oh.
think that since we've been using Zoom at work a lot, I'm starting to learn,
Yeah.
how to one use the technology and not let that be in the way, um,
Right.
and to have it work with you. Because one of the beautiful parts about creating on Zoom with people is that you really you don't get a chance to see what other people are creating. And one of the challenges that we have in class is that people look over at what their neighbor is doing and then start assessing themselves, right? So they're making some
Uh-huh.
kind of decision about, am I doing a good job or a bad job or whatever, based on what someone else is doing next to them. So this way, they're isolated. They're with themselves. They can just be in their own space about what they're interested in, and create on their own. And I hope that that will help people with that inner critic that starts kicking
Mhm.
in when you're creating. And it happens all the time, no matter how long I've been doing this work. I have a moment where, at the beginning, usually, where there's the ugly stage. I don't like what's happening. I don't know where it's going. Why am I doing this? And I think that's part of the creative process, is to practice, not letting that stop you, and
Mhm.
continue to hang in there. You know.
Yeah. Absolutely. I will be, and so this is your first one next week, you said. Is that
Yeah, it's our first Zoom one. We've taught the class for eight
okay?
years, so it's going to be the same, pretty much the same content. The only difference is that this time we usually provide a lot of things for the students, because a lot of people, we want people to have similar things. So we're actually shipping people who register a kind of a goodie bag of things that we're going to be using in the class. Um, and
Oh.
yeah, and so we'll have some guest artists that will be coming in to popping in as surprises, and we have a stencil girl who provided some art supplies for folks. So it's a real opportunity for people to try new things.
Yeah.
But I know people have a stash. There's so many people that have their own. Art, some people actually have collected a bunch of stuff from Michaels and everywhere else, and so there's a chance to use that stuff, right? Um,
Love that.
like,
Yep. I love that. I really also really like the point that you brought up there um about the inner critic. And I talk a lot on my channel and in my classes about, a lot of the art that I create is, I don't go into it with a idea or really even the need to make something beautiful.
hmm
I really like things that are raw and organic and dirty and grungy, and things that
hmm
make me just kind of sit in it a minute and go like, man, what was that? What is this saying to me? Or what was the artist, what were they going through at that time frame? So to your point about being like your secret little place within, the pages, a lot of people don't really necessarily know the story, but for me, my art, is not, really in the beginning, I never thought I would show anybody.
Mm,
I was just like,
yeah.
this is a de-stressor. I'm just going to do this because work is getting the best of me. And then lo and behold, someone saw something and was like, hey, how did you do that? And then they're like, hey, well, can you make a video? Because I don't really understand. And she was in New York. And then, long story short, here we are many years later. And it's like, hold on, what happened here? How did all this happen? Answer real quick. I've got a question in the pod. Heather, yes, this is coffee in my jar. It says moonshine, but it's not quite 5 yet. So I don't start drinking moonshine until roughly 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. So this is just instant coffee that is put into this jar with water, and I just dip my paintbrush in there and use it like that. So if you've not tried painting with coffee, I did a video, I think maybe even last week, where I used it to paint. So thank you for that question. And I'm
Very
gonna let
good.
this dry. I work, and this is a good question for you, because I always like to hear what other people do, what other artists. And so,
Mhm.
do you work on one journal spread at once, or do
That's
you
so.
work on like multiple journals at once, or what's your way to do?
Yeah, well, it was like appropriate timing because I just switched, right? There was another. I was like, okay, I've finished what I feel like I want to do on that one. Yeah, I work in different journals. I usually have about 4 going at a time, and different sizes. So that's also in different materials. So these are all made of canvas, and they're held together with rings, so I can pull them out individually. So this is a new thing I've been playing with. Um, that's the other good thing about COVID. I've been going into my stash and going,
Mm-hmm.
okay, what is this stuff? What do I have? Like, what am I going to use this? Like, what, I've been really cleaning out my art supplies. And then I was cleaning something out and found this in my stuff I bought many years ago. And I thought, it's time to use this. What am I going to do with this? So yeah, I work in a lot of different journals at the same time. I also use my journal pages as palettes.
Uh-huh.
So like right now, I'm going to be wiping, and then it'll get onto something else, and that's fine. Um, it's another way to provide some texture on another page, and kind of got to keep things messy. Because I honestly feel like the first step for me is the background. So I spend a lot of time creating lots of backgrounds until I feel like I land on something that I'm like, oh, I kind of like this background, and I feel like this is ready for the next level, which for me is what you're doing, the kind of the collaging step.
Yeah.
Um, but I spend quite a bit of time, and it's also helpful. What one of the things I think that we hear a lot in class is around people getting really intimidated by the white page. So when
Mm-hmm.
a page is completely blank, like what do I do? Where do I start? So I've been telling
Right.
people, don't worry about it. Like just, in front of TV or when you're listening to music, just worry about enjoy the process of painting.
Yeah.
Play with your tools. Get really used to like, there's some brushes I fall in love with that I like because of the way they work with the acrylic paints. And so part of it is to go through all those different brushes, like, and say, okay, there's, I haven't used this one in a while. Let me try this. Let me see how this works with this material. And you're basically experimenting first. I'm kind of with you that I don't, um, I don't have an intention necessarily when I'm painting, except for I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling tired. I'm feeling like I want to just do something where I just let myself go. And then I'll find myself inside of the journal, just
Mm-hmm.
coloring the pages, and then
Yeah.
something will spark, something
Yeah.
will hit, and I go, okay, now let's go to this next thing. And I keep a real like a basket full of ephemera, like all like you have like the little pieces of
Mm-hmm.
paper, and collect up all those pieces.
Hey, Julie.
And yeah,
Okay, hold on. We call those here in our world, we call those
oh,
giblets. So
Jim,
you've got giblets, girl. That's giblets. Okay, that's some giblets. But I'm glad to know that you use your giblets. So continue on. I just know that those in the chat pod are gonna be like, Tiff, she's talking about the giblets. So I was just gonna go ahead and get that out of the way.
that is hilarious.
That's funny.
Great. I
Yes,
got a
that's
new
what I
word,
call the
giblet.
scraps and papers.
So
Yes, it's the
I have,
giblet.
well, then I have a ton of giblets that that I use over and over again. And I have a tendency not to throw those things away, right? Like you get a little piece of trash or I go like, oh, look at this little thing. I
Yes,
think I can use that. And I just throw that in a bit in a, I have a train case. What do they call that? Where you, maybe you have a
yes,
word for that too. Like the little case, a travel case. And I throw all
yes,
those things in there. And then when I'm wanting to look for something, I dig through that. Like, oh, here's something I haven't seen. How do I want to use this? Stickers. Love the dollar store, you know, for going through and finding
yeah.
little things to.
I do.
Mhm.
I can relate to that on so many levels because there are times when it's like that one little paper that is so perfect for that page or what you want to express in that moment. And it's like,
Uh-huh.
that's why I did not throw away that piece of tea bag or piece of whatever it is. It's like, that's why that it was meant for this. It's destiny was to be there. Okay, so I got a question.
Mm.
Julie, I'm looking for your website, but I'm struggling. Where would I learn more about you? Hey, Heather, if you take a look in the description box, I connected you with her YouTube. But tell everybody, Julie, if there's other places where they can connect with you as well.
My main place is Instagram. I'm really, I mean, one of the things that happened with COVID is that I have to be clear about where I can consistently be. And Instagram is probably the easiest one for me. I do have a YouTube page. It's got some examples of travel journals because a lot of people were asking. I do a lot of, well, before all this, I would travel a lot for work. And so people were always asking like, how did you travel? So there's a video there about the things that I carry in my travel journal and things like that. But Instagram, I would say, is the best one. And then I have a blog. So if you go to Instagram into my what's called bio, you'll see the link tree link that has all the links to different things that I do. So, but Instagram,
Awesome.
I would say I want to send people that because I'm so scared people go to other things and be like, hey, she hasn't done anything in a while, and I'm like, yeah, I can hardly do this part, like so.
Yeah, I traveled a lot before COVID as well with my job. I think there was one month where in 30 days I had spent 22 days in the hotel. So
Yeah,
I totally understand that life there for sure.
yeah. But what's nice about the travel, and like I really like to encourage people to do this. Wherever I travel to a new city, I find an art supply store. Um, because there's always
Yep.
something. There's something, we went to Hawaii last year and I went to the Walmart and they had the art supply section. They had all these Hawaiian stamps and hula girls and stuff that I've never seen before. So I you have to fill your basket with all that stuff. Take that with you
That's
because
right. You
you
got to
never
make
know when you
those
need that.
trips count. I love that. So speaking of art supplies, is do you have? I mean, I see that you are using amazing, beautiful colors, but do you have an art supply like is your ride or die? Like no matter what happens, you are always using that supply.
So right now, what are these? Well, there are these ones that are very, what are they called? See, I'm so bad about is Holbein, the
Yes. Uh
acrylic
huh.
paints. So
Yes.
those ones I feel like are the most brilliant, like really vibrant, and they stay vibrant. And they're not not transparent, translucent, or more matte, and that way they cover really well. So that, and then I'm a big fan of gesso. I just I
Yeah.
just love gesso for covering things. I love and then I think it's less about the actual tool, the product itself. It's more about like which tools will give me the payoff that I want. And right now, these acrylic paints give me the bright payoff that I want. Um,
Mhm.
but I also need a lot because I use big. I'm actually working on a huge canvas on my patio now, and so I can't use the super expensive stuff. Um, so I've been using a lot of those craft paints to start
Yeah.
with everything to kind of do the background, and then I do accents with the more expensive paints that are more brilliant. Um, And then I'm a big fan of anything metallic, any colors that start off metallic-y or
Uh-huh.
um, yeah.
I have
And I
some.
just bought some like gold flecks that I haven't played with yet, but I would like to try like gold leafing,
Have you
stuff. So,
tried this one? This is the folk art color shift.
oh yes, I did. I just got
Oh my
some.
gosh, I
I
love
got
that.
this purple one. I got this kind of like iridescent purpley
Oh
one.
gosh, yes, that's beautiful. I don't know. Do I have purple? I probably do. Someone gifted me at one of the art retreats I did. She gifted me like all of the colors they had out. And I think I may have that purple down here. So Heather has a question.
Mm.
Um so Heather is in Hawaii. Um
Yay!
and she is saying that she has every art supply in the world, but they just sit there because she's too afraid to get started. So I will let
Yeah.
you tell her how you would recommend breaking through that fear.
So I don't know. I mean, the short answer is you have to just get started, right? And I think it's just getting the material. Like the idea that at one point you're going to feel confident and clear and just jump into it is not. I think you'll wait a long time. So there's a little bit of just saying, you know what, today I'm just going to pick 2 colors or 3 colors, and I'm going to open up a page in my journal, and I'm going to just start putting things down, and I'm just going to deal with whatever comes up. I'm worried. I don't know if I have time. I don't think this looks right. Just have all that come up. And one of the things that I've done when I get too much like that is that I start writing down what I'm feeling. I don't know if you know Julia Cameron's book, Artist Way.
Yes.
There's there's a piece around morning pages, and I always find that morning pages are a good way. It doesn't have to be in the morning. You just do your
Yep.
pages, but as a practice to go in and just start to write. What are you feeling? What are you thinking? Just let it be streaming consciousness. Set the timer for a minute, which starts to feel like a long time when you're
It
actually trying to
does.
write it. You know,
Yeah.
but set it for a minute and just let yourself go until you're empty, till and
Mhm.
you'll get to the end. You'll get to the end where you're just like, okay, and then an inspiration or a thought will come, but you do have to just do it. Like
Yeah.
I I don't know that there's a short answer for like one day and that's for anything, right? If there's anything you're afraid of, there's a point where you just have to, you know make the decision and do it. And the reality is that when you really think about it, it's just paper and paint.
Yep.
You got a ton of it. If you don't like it, you can toss it, or you can rip it up and use it in another piece. You know. So I don't know if that's helpful, but I've heard that many times before, and that's really our coaching. It's just that you have to make a decision, jump in, see what
Yeah.
happens, deal with, be uncomfortable. It's okay. Uh,
And
it just
and
is.
I would also add, Heather, is like asking yourself, where does the fear really come from? Is it because you are putting pressure on yourself to make something look a certain way? Is it because there's multiple things when it comes to fear. So I would just ask you to kind of dig in a little bit on that. But to Julie's point, just do it and remember it's just yours. Like you can close this book up. That's why I love journals so much, because I can close this book up and you don't have to be as public as maybe some of us are on Instagram until you kind of work up to the point where you're ready to share. It's yours. Like you just close this little book up and you put it in a drawer, and the next time you're ready, you open it back up. But I would say just do it, and don't pressure yourself. Where you are in your life, in your journal, is completely different than anybody else's story, and that's why it's special.
Mm-hmm,
So that's what I would say. And then Stacy said she loves morning pages. I also love morning pages.
mm-hmm,
I found it to be very good. And things came up in ideas that I didn't even know I had until I got into my morning pages, which is weird. So,
Yeah,
um,
yeah, it's like deep in there. And I also
yeah,
want to
I
say
was like,
one, one thing is that I really think it's important if people have that concern, like I'm worried, whatever. It's really important. Don't share it.
yeah,
That's like a really tender moment. And so if you share it with someone and they react like, well, what are you going to do with that? And well, what's that supposed to be?
mhm,
Like that can kill, all
yeah,
kinds of creativity. So I just really say when people get into that space, do not be in a hurry
yep,
to look for other people's approval about what it is you're creating. Um, it is for you, like you said, it's just for you, and create
yep,
it until you feel like you want to share. And there are things even now with, I've been creating a long time that I don't share. It's
yep,
either that I don't share because what's written on the pages I feel like is too personal, and I don't think everything's for public consumption. I know with the internet world, social media world, people share a lot. And I think
yeah,
there is something to be said for you. You should be keeping some things just for you. You
yep,
know.
yep. So hopefully, Heather, hopefully that helped. And then Shelly said, as a non-artist, I feel like it took a lot of trying different styles and ways of doing things until I found the way that's my way, if that makes sense. Yeah, that makes
Mhm.
perfect sense, Shelly. I know
Absolutely.
exactly what you mean. Um,
So Tiffany,
Again, as someone who didn't think of myself as an artist when I started, hey Shelly, I did not think of myself as an artist. It still flabbergasts me when I meet people in public and they act like I'm really famous, which is really crazy, by the way. And I'm like, hold up, I'm just a country girl who likes to paint and I talk a lot and I don't even know. And they're like, oh, you're an artist. I'm like, oh, but really, I'm just a girl who likes to paint. And I don't really even see myself that way. So I can totally connect with that as well, Shelly. So we've got some people on here from New Zealand.
wow. Wow.
Jen, yes, you are an artist. You are an amazing artist. And yes, I believe everybody has an artist inside of them. But I also agree with your point, Shelly, that you have to try different things until you find your kind of style or the things that really speak to you and not, put yourself in a box.
So
Oh,
Tiffany,
we've
at
got
what
some
point?
people out there painting with us now. Oh, and Heather,
Yay!
she said, I'm getting out my journal and we'll splash
Yay!
some paint down now. Yay, Heather, we love that. And Miss Stacy's painting along with us. That is awesome. That is those colors are so beautiful that you're working with. Is that orange or like neon red? I can't tell
That is,
from
it is luminous red. Yeah,
red is
these
not
ones.
my color, but I'm trying. See, you inspired me to put some neon on my page here. It's not my jam, but
You're
I'm
doing good.
trying. I'm
Let
trying.
me ask you a question, Tiffany. Like, so at what point did you, because you talked about like you weren't thinking of yourself as an artist. At what point did you feel like you could take that claim for yourself? Because I've heard people go, I'm not an artist, I am an artist, I'm not. Like, at what point did you recognize for yourself that you are an artist?
That's a great question. I've got to think back a little bit. Let's see. Huh. I'm probably gonna say when I connected the dots in my mind, was probably when I got the opportunity or was asked to share, my art story. And
Mm,
they were like, oh, your artist Tiffany. I was like, hold up, pump the brakes. What? I didn't sign up for all that. No, I was just like, oh wow, I'm an artist. And they're like, yeah, you're an artist. And I'm like, oh, and it's one thing for somebody else to tell you that. But
that's so
then
true.
as I got into, the community of people who who are all in the same, you know, mind space, I guess, a lot of times as we are. I thought, well, why am I not an artist? I
Hmm.
am an artist. And like it was almost like self-convincing myself like, yes, you are. Well, not really. I don't feel any different, but you are though. So and I've had people in my classes before, specifically in person, because they probably are thinking this online too. They just don't say it, but they'll say like, "Oh, you know, I can remember vividly." I don't know if that person is on, but she comes to every one of my art retreats that I host, whether it's in person, whether it's online, whatever. She's a huge supporter. And I remember I was there in a space, and I wasn't even teaching. I was just there. Just it was just kind of like a retreat, and everybody was enjoying each other's company. And she kind of was a little shy to get started. To Heather's points, like she was scared of not knowing what to do, or any
Hmm.
of that thing. And I just literally slapped her hand in the paint of gesso and stuck her hand on there, and I was like, girl, it's paper, like, what are you? And she was like, that was a moment in her. And she always calls, would say like, oh, Tiffany, the artist Tiffany, da, da. And I was like, oh man, people really view me as that. And then I also kind of felt that way when people would share their story about how my work has helped them either come through something or art through it, or maybe a video that inspired them or whatever. And
Hmm.
then it just kind of solidified it in my mind, like, heck yeah, I am an artist. Why do I keep acting like that's a bad thing? Or like, just because I don't paint murals on the side of a wall doesn't mean I'm not an artist.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, that was
That's beautiful.
it's still kind of weird though sometimes where people.
I bet it is. I've heard people kind of get into this thing, and I always feel like people are artists. I think that people tell stories in different ways. So people are some visual, like when you're a
Yeah,
visual person and you have to express yourself through images. To me, that's automatically artistry, right?
right.
Um, and then there are people who express themselves through words. So then that's automatically writer, or that sort of thing. So I
Yep.
always feel like, yeah, I think what starts happening when people start making some distinction about artist, not artist, it puts people, that's also adds to the intimidation, right? Like, I'm not an artist, therefore I can't. Um, but I really do think it's important for when people see themselves as people that express themselves through the visual medium, that
Yeah.
then you have complete control, then that's what there is to say. I am an artist. That's how
Yep.
I tell stories. That's how I communicate. Because
Yep.
even at work, when I'm doing things, I think about the presentations and how it's presented. I think
Hmm.
about how people, as a teacher, I'm thinking, how are people going to get this? And when I think about how to communicate it, I'm thinking about it visually. I'm
Yep.
thinking, okay,
Me
they're
too.
they're watching something. They're watching something. So what
Yep.
are they seeing? And how do I tell the story better
Yeah.
visually? Because I think people, and I work with a group of people that are very visual people.
Uh huh.
So it's a really key part of the work.
Yeah,
So I,
that's very interesting that you brought that up too, because a lot of times in my work, out, in my day job, they I'll say, hold on, let me picture this. Now
yeah,
walk me through that one more time. And they're like, Tiffany, you're always the boy. I'm like, that's just how my brain works. Like, I don't know how to be any other way. And they're like, well, it
yeah.
really helps us because they don't really think about it that way. And
Hmm.
we're trainers and teachers, so I'm like, I need to
Hmm.
see that from the learner's perspective. Like, how does this look? What is this going to message is gonna we're trying to drive? What are our learners trying to take away from this? And they're always like, Tiffany,
Hmm.
you always put us back in our place and tell us exactly.
Get you
Stacy
back to.
agrees with you that we are all artists,
Hmm.
each with our own vocabulary and ways of expressing ourselves. I love that, Stacy. That is beautifully said. Tiff the Liberator. Y'all are making me crack up. We've got some people in here from Canada. journaling along with us. I see my buddy out
Nice.
there, PJ. She's in California too. What part of California are you in, Julie?
I am in a place called Sunnyvale, which is near San Jose. So today is very dark because we've got the fires going on. I
Yeah.
had to put a little bit extra lighting in here. It's really dark in here because it is dark outside. And yeah, so I'm in near the San Jose area.
Nice. My geography skills are minimal, so I have no idea if that's close to her or not. So,
Where is
but
she?
yes, I have seen. I did see her. Actually, I think it was her that posted something about the fires too. But is that it's not super close? You can just see the smog and.
Yeah, well, it is. It's not. We are not in danger, but it is
Uh-huh.
close. And so
Okay.
there are some areas that aren't too far from here that are evacuating. And I've got a friend who's been traveling, and her home is in jeopardy. So there's people going over there to take precious
Oh,
things out
okay.
of the house. So it really is. It's not. In the past, it's been way up in the foothills, and a lot of times you can see it from a distance, but it's awfully. I mean, I can smell it. It smells like campfire.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Um,
Yeah, pretty
PJ
intense.
is near LA.
Oh, okay. So Southern California. Yeah. So I'm up near San Francisco. Um,
That's
so
scary
cool.
business. That is very
It
scary.
really is.
We have these two storms out in the Gulf right now that are having us on our pins on our tippy toes trying to figure out where it's going to go. It seems like 2020 has just been a shit show, y'all. It has
Hmm.
just been a mess. Heavens.
Yeah. Well, we had this conversation yesterday actually at work, which was, about that, but also recognizing all the gifts that this time has brought.
Yeah.
I've taken more time for my art now, because I'm home, and
Yep.
I've realized how much I need it. Like, whereas before I was like, okay, well, I don't, I could go weeks or maybe a long time without doing anything. And now I'm pretty much doing something almost every day, um,
Yeah.
just to relax. It's
Yeah.
just my way of
I
relaxing.
agree. Yeah, there are a lot of bad things to talk about, but I actually was discussing that with my husband as we went and did our grocery pickup today and came back. He was like, it's been a long time, like a really long time since you've been home and you've been able. I mean, since we've been home, I've put out two classes on my
Mm-mm.
own. Like, there's just been so many things. So you are absolutely correct that there has been some mess, but there has also been some really big wins with being able to slow down a little bit. And I
Yeah.
work very, very quickly. And part of that is because I've always had to do it, do it, do it so it can be done because I have other things to do. And now it's like I do have the opportunity to kind of slow down and sit in my work a little while longer and not necessarily have to rush because I have something else that I have to do, but just enjoy myself in the moment.
Yeah. And I cherish that. And I also feel like I want to build this practice so strong that when we do return to the new normal,
Whatever that looks
that
like. Yeah.
whatever that looks like, that I will actually have this as something that I need to do. Like,
Yeah.
it is a incredible de-stressor, regardless
Hmm.
of people's concern for, like, am I an artist or not an artist, or what am I doing? Not like just the moment of just sitting in front of, sometimes I sit in front of TV or sit on the patio, listen to music or podcasts, which are I love doing that.
Hmm.
Listen to podcasts and then create at the same time. And particularly if I can listen to stories about other artists, as
Yeah.
they're talking about their journey. I mean, maybe that's what's happening now for folks who are creating with us. We're talking about this and it's kind of sparking that inspiration to get, like, let me, while they're doing that, let me get my journal and think about what I want to do and create things.
Yeah. Do you have any
So,
favorite podcasts that you are just like die hard watch listen to every episode?
Um, no, I usually just on Spotify they'll pop certain things up. I know a friend of mine's son created one, and I don't know the name of it now, but it's about finances. It's not really artsy, but I love him and I love hearing,
I
his
love
story.
that.
So I love hearing his advice. And I saw him when he was a little kid, and now he's a grown man now, and he's got his podcast. And
That's
so
awesome.
it's so much fun to see what he's doing.
I love that you
So,
support him. That's really awesome. It's really
yeah,
good.
because
Hey
people
guys,
are getting creative.
if
Mhm.
you're listening to us and you have some podcasts that you would recommend, you should put those in the comments.
Yeah, that would be great.
So we will know what you guys. Let's see. The gift of time and relaxation has been the best part of this thing we are going through. I agree with that, Stacy, 100%. Um, Julie, you and Heather are like kindred spirits. She said that she was born at there at Mount View Hospital, but I
Oh,
don't know
Mountain
if
View
when she
Hospital.
was a
Yeah.
baby, and now she's in Hawaii. And then Lori
Wow.
from Louisiana. Lori, I hope this storm is gonna move out of your way and my way too, girl. And then we've got all my heart and soul listening to you guys while journaling. I'm recording my number 19 in time lapse, so I don't have to worry about sounds. Awesome. And then Faith, yes, Julie does have a channel. Tiffany is urging her and giving her the nudge to get consistent on her videos. But I have linked it in the description box if you want to look for her channel, Red Dragonfly Studio. And then hello from North California too, Julie. That is Shannon.
Yeah, Shannon. What's that, Shannon Gettins?
Oh, I missed Janet. She's from Nebraska. Hello
Nice.
from Nebraska. Listening while I'm making a journal. I love it. Awesome. We've got them covered from all over.
Love it. And I love that people are creating alongside, you know,
Yes.
that it's starting that creativity going, it's good. It's good for people to be
Absolutely.
creative.
All right, guys. So I think this one may be through for the minute. This little guy was in my bucket, so I decided to use him, and then I added a. Hold on, let me get over here. Added a safety pin and some threads, and I added a little pop of neon red to celebrate Miss Julie being here on the channel with us, and glued that all together. And
Love
I
it.
may have this one kind of close to finished. I'm kind of digging it. It's still drying though. This is a little date book, Common Sense Traveler's Expense Book from 1958.
So
And
where do you
it's
get your giblets? Because
so
that's a cool piece.
I
That doesn't come from anywhere. That's a find that you had there.
So I go to flea markets all the time. No, I'm just joking. No, I just really have a lot of people who like me and they send me good stuff. And then I also
That's
go
nice.
to there's a huge flea market in Texas, and it's about a 9-hour drive for me, but I usually go once a year.
Hmm.
And a lot of us get together. Sometimes I do a little retreat and we all get together by the lake, and we go to this little flea market. It's not little, it's 144 acres. I've never seen anything like it in my life, like
Oh
that
my
flea
goodness.
market. But we go there about once a year, and I happen to be very, according to people around me, I'm very lucky, and I have an eye for just like finding all of the things. Let's see, Jen. Maybe we could post what we're working on in IG under a
Ooh,
hashtag. Oh yeah, I love that.
I love
So
that.
let's think of what we want the hashtag to be. Julie, any ideas?
What did we call this? Chit chat? Chit
Yeah.
Chat. Yeah. Southern Chit Chat. I don't know. Giblet Chit Chat.
All right, let me put it in here. Let's see. All right.
That is going to forever make me laugh. Giblets.
Giblet Chit Chat is our. Okay, so we'll have to go follow that hashtag. Um, Shri, Shri, SRI. She says, Julie, do you remember me? Thank you
Oh,
for
yeah.
this lovely video. She's on.
Yes. Yeah. She's an author. I think it was the shoe I'm thinking of. She is an author, or she was working on a book. I hope she's created that book and about her life or her family. And so, and I love, and if it's who I'm thinking of, because I'm sorry, folks, if I can't see what the comments because I'm still learning how to set all this kind of stuff up. Um, but I love following her on Instagram and her family and all the cool things. So that's actually one of the things I do love about social media is that if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't know what was happening with people, and I can always kind of pop in,
Yeah.
see what people are doing. I love that.
Yeah, I agree with
Thanks
that
for
as
joining us.
well. That is it called Trader Village? The Lori, the flea market that I'm talking about is Canton, Texas. It's called Trade Days in Canton, Texas. I don't know if that's what you were asking, but that's the name of the flea market I was talking about. Y'all don't go to my flea market now and buy all my stuff because I told y'all about it. Just joking.
But you have the eye, so it was just there for
Yeah,
you.
I do.
Yeah.
I art journaling from a hospital room in sunny Cleveland. Oh no, Wendy!
Oh.
Prayers. What's up, Deanna? Oh man, I pray that everything is gonna
Yeah.
work out in whatever you're going through there.
Yeah.
Being
Actually,
stuck in the hospital is not fun. That's for sure.
when my
That.
parents were struggling with some health issues, I would create also at night, and it gave me a lot of peace. So I'm so glad
Mm-hmm.
that she's picking up a journal and you know finding a little bit of focus, maybe happy focus in the middle of whatever she's dealing with.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, it's her
Very
mom.
therapeutic. Uh,
So, those, I saw you a while ago taking like a scraper and scraping something over it. Were you
yeah,
scraping, what was that you were putting over it? Like a medium to seal it or
yeah,
what?
yeah.
Okay.
That's gel medium. I create, so the one of the things I do, like, so right now I'm doing my next layer and what I create, and then, but I might create a lot of individual pages, and then I cut them up into little pieces. So like I have
Uh-huh.
sat and I cut off these random pieces, and then I put them down with gel medium and then scrape to get that extra, to push it in there, and get the adhesive to really stick. But yeah, and I love these scrapers. I don't know if you guys have Harbor Freight, but Harbor Freight is like a place
Yeah.
here that's like yeah. So they
They
have
have
a whole
scrapers
box
like
of
that.
these. Oh yeah, they have a whole box of them for like $6 or something. It's like, and they
Oh
have
my
two
gosh.
sizes. So they have this wide one and then the skinny one. So
Huh.
you can also use credit cards or old gift
Yeah.
cards. But I find that the flexibility of these, it doesn't snap on me, and also when they get really covered with stuff, you can rip off the paint. I usually throw the other ones away when I get to that point. So
Yeah. My brayer, bless his heart, I don't ever clean it, and I feel bad occasionally from time to time. But then, y'all, I wasn't even gonna tell you, but while we're on here, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you. So, so you see what had happened is my
hmm
brayer was so full of paint, y'all, it wouldn't even move. Like it would not roll. And this is as good of a cleanup job as Tiff could do. I just couldn't get any more off. I soaked it, and I just couldn't get any more off. But at least it will roll again. And now, if anybody could tell me what I did with the little handle, oh, here it is. Look at there.
Look at
You
that.
never know what you might find. And so it was so thick with paint that it just wouldn't roll at all. But now look at all that space. We got lots of rolling we can do. Lots
See,
and
there you go.
lots.
Is that one of your favorite tools? Because that seems to be used a lot, right? Because they
It's
had a
one
lot of
of my
paint.
tops. Yeah, I like it when it has paint like dried on it because it gets these very interesting marks in there. And
Oh yeah.
so that you couldn't really do if you were trying to get it,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's how I roll. By the seat of my pants. Because I never know what I'm going to do until it happens. Thanks for this time. I have my journal out. Oh, good, Alma. Slapping some paint down, girl. From Los Angeles. We got a few
Yay.
LA
LA
people on
girls.
here, it looks like.
So Tiffany, when you create, is there a certain way you like to dress or things that you feel like you need to wear when you're creating? Do you just in pajamas? You have
just everything. So I call them my paint clothes, which is like 99% of my clothes now. Okay, if we're really gonna, and that brings me to another funny story. So I had this little art get together thing, and I had never met this person before, and she ended up being my roommate, and I didn't know her, she didn't know me, so I said, hey, I need you to send a picture of what you look like to so my husband can see, so he will know you're not a serial killer. I have no idea what logic I thought that made. Like, how does a serial killer really look? Anyway, y'all get the point.
Yeah.
So she's probably already thinking this girl's a lunatic, and I should be concerned after that comment. But anyway, long story short, so we get there to the place. We're still friends today. I don't know if she's on or not, but we get to the place, and we're just like, oh my gosh, it's so nice to meet you. We're so excited. And so then I realized the next morning when she puts on a full face of makeup, y'all. This is no lies. She puts on a full face of makeup, hair done, jewelry to the nines, outfit, and it's like a white shirt. And I am like, I said, I'm not gonna say her name on here, but I said, excuse me, is that your paint clothes? And she said, paint clothes? I said, we did come over here to do art, right? She was like, yeah, I do cut and paste. I'm like, okay, so you're real neat then. So what I'm going to advise you is not to sit by me, because I'm going in some yoga pants, a t-shirt from the thrift store, and some flip-flops, and my hair is not done, and my makeup is not done. And this is how I paint. And then it's so funny. So she went to another retreat after that, and she said, Tiffany, I understand why you need paint clothes now, because she had got paint all over her. I was like, yes. So yes, to answer your question, typically it is either pajamas or lounge wear, which is now my daytime uniform for work, because nobody ever sees it. And that's how it is. But I just go with it. So yeah, she understands paint clothes now.
Yes. Yeah, and I guess I have my little wardrobe of paint clothes too. But I always wear an apron, to just because I feel like I have to get up and do other things, and I feel like I don't want to take paint clothes all around the house. But yeah, and my apron for sure has to have a pocket, because I put trash or little bits or pieces of whatever in the pocket. And definitely barefoot. because I can't do art with shoes on.
Oh, really?
No,
I'm in my
no
flip flops,
shoes.
but down here, flip flops is like, oh, people are giving me tips on here. Flip flops are like your everyday wear around here. So people are telling me Murphy's oil soap takes off acrylic paint from the brayer. All
Okay.
right, I'll keep that in my mind. Deanna is saying she's been having so much fun with her gel press. I told you, girl, jelly printing is the bomb. And then Jay, you better get that gel press out, girl. And she said it's still in the package and has been for months. Come on now. All right. And then Stacy says I can find a plastic container with a tight fitting lid. Put your brayer or just the roller part in there. Add the cover with Murphy oil soap and let it sit overnight. Okay. All right. If I'm really committed to getting it clean, you guys have given me some good pointers here. Um, yes, Jay, get it out right now. Get it going, girl. You got to break that gel press out. I do love to jelly print. Do you like to jelly print?
I do. I use it a lot when I'm doing doing lots of pages that I'm going to use as backgrounds or to cut up, because I think it's a good way to get
Mm-hmm.
paint and different patterns going. Plus,
Yeah.
it's a surprise. You don't know what's going to happen. Each
Yep.
time you put something down, it's completely you can't predict what's going to take place. You can try,
Yeah.
but I never end up with what I think I'm going to end up with. And then I love trying to find things to stick on there to as shapes. Look around the house for like, oh,
Right.
let me try to make a shape. Let me see what's happening. Let me try this. The one thing that I haven't tried that I've been wanting to is the image transfer.
Yes, I've
People.
done the image transfer. So the one thing I will say that I've noticed with the image transfer process is a newer jelly plate, or maybe a well. Let me rephrase that. Maybe it's a well taken care. Oh Lord, I almost knocked myself out. Jelly plate will do better on the transfer than one that you don't clean like me. So I don't ever clean my jelly plate, and so it's all
Mm,
crusted and got some good giblets of crust on the edges, which I really like. But it does not do you any favors when it comes to the image transfer technique. So I would say make sure you have um, a good foundation for um, getting the print, and then try different magazines, because I've
oh,
noticed that
okay,
some magazines do different than others.
that's good. It's good to know because I haven't. I've seen it and I haven't actually gotten down. So now I'm inspired to go try it. See how if I can make it work. Um, for the most part, I've been using. There was an image transfer like a spray that I use. I haven't used in a long time. That you could use over a of like a print from a print, not
Yeah.
yeah, and that one worked really well. But you have to get used to, there's a rhythm to it. Um, but once you get it down, you can get all kinds of images on something, which I like. I like putting
Stacy
people in my art. Hmm.
Stacy is asking about those scrapers. They come from Harbor Freight, she said, Stacy.
Yeah, they come from Harbor Freight. They're in the aisle where they do all the stuff for the cars, for car repair and car cleaning. It's in that aisle. I think the same aisle no matter what state you're in.
All right, let's see. Sandy says I haven't used mine in a year. We'll be getting it out. Yes, get those supplies
Yay!
out and jelly plate. Where did okay? I answered that. I'm looking at the comments. Sandy, my jelly plate is pretty. Girl, it's all green and ugly now, but I did have Marcy. I don't know if Marcy's on here, but if y'all watched my recent video where I was talking about how I get so upset that those 12 by 12 deli papers end up having that white ring around it because you have an 8.5 or 8x10 jelly plates. So my friend Marcy in Louisiana shipped me a 12x14 inch jelly plate. So I would not have that problem anymore. So I have a brand new Big Daddy. I call it the Big Daddy jelly plate. I don't know how my husband feels about that, because one time I was saying that like on a live stream or whatever, and I was like calling it Big Daddy, and he was talking about Tiffany, what were y'all talking about? I was like, art. And he was like, what in the world were you talking about, a Big Daddy? I was like, oh, Lord Jesus, that's funny. That is so funny. I wish I could send each of you out. There's one of the fresh baked cookies. Oh my gosh, Stacy, fresh baked cookies. Oh my gosh, we need one. Oh, Jay, I come up with all kinds of crazy things. He's so accustomed to the craziness that comes out of my mouth. He doesn't even think about it twice anymore. He just like, oh gosh, that's Tiffany again. And he's really a saint to put up with me, because I'm kind of crazy a little bit, and he deals with it. So, how long have you been married, Julie?
We've been together 10 years. So
10 years.
yeah, 10 years.
That's a long
What
time.
fun. It is. It is. But
We
you know what? Here's what's
have,
great is, isn't this amazing where we're, because I know people are challenged with that, and we've gotten along just fine. I mean, we have, normal bickering, but just kind of being, I feel like, wow, we picked the right people. We picked each other. There's a right mix, because we've been able to get along just fine through all this.
yeah, Josh and I have been married we've been together 15 years. It'll be 16 years in November. And then we have been married I always have to ask him. And I feel like it's usually the opposite way. Like, people usually have to ask the wife. But
Uh-huh.
I'm pretty sure this year was 8 in February. So yeah, we've been married 8 years in February, 9 years this coming February. And some days I love him, and some days I'm auctioning him off on Facebook. And if anybody's friends with me on Facebook, I think some of y'all are. He saw the comment the day that I said, anybody looking for a husband, I have got one going real cheap. And he saw that and was like, babe, he's never on
He's
Facebook.
like, really?
Yeah. He's like,
Really?
he said, what's the going price? I was like, dang it. He caught me. Oops.
He's like, I gotta check in on Tiffany, because she's up in here talking about putting my business out here.
Yeah.
Let me check on her.
I'm talking about Big Daddy, and then I'm trying to tell him to auction my husband off. He was a little concerned there for a minute. Oh, Hope, I know, poor Josh, but he puts up with me, so we'll just, we just have to. We're polar opposites. He's very quiet, and of course, I'm not. And then, yeah, so
The right
it's
medium
funny
might
how
match.
things work together like that, though.
Yeah.
Really fun. So, Julie, when are you going to be having? You talked about that you're having your first online art retreat with Zoom next week. So,
Yes.
will there be another one in case anybody is watching this on the replay or watching it today? Is there a resource that they can go to find out other dates?
Yeah. So you can go to a work of heart studio.com, and they have a number of classes, but Andrea and I, who owns that studio, and I are actually going to be doing the class together, and so all of our future classes are on there. So the next Juicy Soul retreat is November 7th and 8th. But obviously, if this continues to play and people are listening back, that's the way for them to find out. But we want to see how both of these go, and I would imagine that we probably will have more of these in the new year. But right now, this November will probably be the start end of it for this year, because Christmas will be around the corner and Thanksgiving, and I don't know how that's going to work this year, but
Right.
yeah. But yeah, so a Work of Heart studio is where you'd find out about all the classes that we've we offer, and particularly about the retreat.
Awesome.
Okay. Where do you get your inspiration? Where does your
I don't
inspiration
know.
come from?
It doesn't, like, I don't go into a I don't go into a piece like really all that inspired, to be honest with you. Like when
Mm-hmm.
I show up and start to paint or just put the first marks down, the inspiration just kind of finds me.
Mm.
It's not really the other way around, which I think is kind of how a lot of people do it. Like they're inspired and then they go create art. I show up and then something happens, and I'm just as surprised
Ah,
as the rest of the world. I'm like, oh wow, that is kind of cool, huh? I had no idea. I'm pretty inspired in the moment or by the movement that I create. Of course, there's trips that I've taken to the Caribbean and being in, like different cultural areas where I'm exposed to different foods or different views or different, textures or fabrics or colors or things like that, that will make its way eventually into my journal. But typically I just show up and then something happens.
that is so
I
cool.
don't know that that's very so what about you? Where do you have inspiration well of sorts?
I think the inspiration, similarly, it's like, okay, I sit down and I see what happens, but I also get inspired by the tools. So, well, now we're
Mhm.
using the word giblet. So the giblets that I have, I pull
Yes.
something out and I'll be like, oh, look at this little piece of paper and let me do something with that. And then that'll start me looking around and
Uh-huh.
seeing what I have and trying to just try to create something. Um,
Mhm.
so I really, yeah. So I think I look at kind of my supplies, and then one of the ways that I get started creating is that if I feel like I don't have any inspiration to do it, is I'll organize my supplies. There's
Oh
something about
yes.
going through
Yeah.
it and organizing it and getting them together that gets me started. Like, oh, look at this. Oh, I want to play with this. Okay, let
Yeah.
me pull out something. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's typically all of my tries at cleaning and organizing never really pan out because to your point, I'm like, oh gosh, that's cool. Oh, I forgot I had that. Let me see. I bet I could do something with that. And then before I know it, I've gone off track of cleaning, and now I am playing rather than actually actually doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm gone off on a random rabbit hole, which is okay too.
Yeah.
Let's
My favorite
see.
part about the creating part is when you get into the zone. I love that part where I just kind of lose track of time, and that's actually what I'm always searching for when I'm creating, is to get to
Mhm.
this place where I'm so into what I'm doing that
Mhm.
I'm really lost track of time and what I'm supposed to be doing, and
Yeah.
um, in my thoughts, stuff just starts to disappear, and it's just
Yeah.
me and whatever I'm making.
Yeah. That's true for me as well. Cause my husband's mom had a knee replace no a hip replacement done. I don't know, a few months ago, and he's been having to go home and check on her, and
Hmm.
her home is like 2 hours away. So he will go for like, 2 or days or whatever, and then he'll come back on the third day. And he said, "What did you do?" I said, I stayed in my studio all day. He was like, "Oh, okay. Well, did you have fun?" I was like, "Yeah." But I didn't realize it was all day until the night. Like I just
Yeah.
filmed my new class, and I literally did it while he was gone, and I was like, I don't even know how much time I've done for this class. Like, let me stop and let me go check and see like times in this class before I just keep going, because I was like, I woke, drank my coffee, got in the studio. I had paint on my hands. I don't remember. I just stayed in there
Hmm.
for a while, and I ate a snack every once in a while, and I just kept going. Somebody, oh, Sandy, You did that moody grayish black page on a jelly plate. I love it. I can't remember what but thank you. PJ. Oh no, dear Josh, always taking for a while. He's always got a blast with you, PJ. Polar opposite works for a lot of people. It does work for us, that's for sure. And so, okay, this jelly stuff is cool. Oh, Jay has got her jelly plate out, and she must be playing. I know,
Nice.
Hope. Poor Josh. Bless his little heart. Bless his little heart.
So
The
excited
one
to see
thing
what
about
people are
using a
creating.
found book
Mm.
for a journal though is the page. Sometimes like this, it just you have to be really careful because a lot of times these older papers that I like to work with will end up tearing. Do you prefer handmade journals or do you prefer like
Um,
ones you buy at the store, Julie?
hmm. So that's an interesting question because I guess I've only been experiencing journals that have been created ahead of time. I'm very particular about the pages. Like I like them to be watercolor pages. I don't really create in journals that are just kind of for writing because they're too thin and then you got to deal with shoring them up, sticking maybe two pages together or putting something on top to reinforce it. Um, but I have seen I had mentioned this when we did Pass the Brush, that there was a journal that I'm still looking for from Barnes and Noble. It's no longer, they don't make it anymore, but it was a huge journal. It almost looked, it was thick like a Bible, like it was really thick spine, and it had handmade paper in it. And that was one of my favorite books, but I haven't seen that in a long time. I just found that I have, in the process of COVID and sitting home going through all my stuff, that I have a bunch of pages that are by themselves. And so I would like to create, like I heard, realize that it's called a junk journal, where you put all these
Mm-hmm.
different kind of pages together and make a journal, make a book of your own. So I think I'm going to
Yeah.
attempt that because I do have a lot of loose pages that maybe I wouldn't use in a journal, but I'd like to see how to use those as starting places. In the Juicy Soul Retreat, we
Yeah.
teach people how to create a journal from one page. So you can basically use a
Okay.
huge watercolor piece and then fold it up and to make a smaller journal out of it.
Right.
So that's the kind of the extent of my make my own journal, use it experience. But I would like to make a junk journal of my own and see how that goes.
Yeah, this is one that I actually purchased from somebody on Instagram, Kristen Peterson. But this is kind of a journal style because it has all of these random like craft papers. She even has like some papers that she's glued down. This has a little bit of
Mm,
sewing on it. Um, Small
that's
insect bites.
interesting.
I have no idea what that is, but a little vintage papers, and this is kind of like I don't know what this is actually.
Is it vellum?
Paper. No, it's almost like when you go to the bakery and you get like a little
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about, and they'll
yeah.
put
Mm-hmm.
maybe a cookie in the sleeve. That's kind of what that reminds me of. And then this is
Mm-hmm.
really thin. This is thin paper, and then we've got ledgers in here. But yeah, this is kind of a junk journal style journal as well. And I've been working through my 5 minute challenge. I've been working through trying to fill this one up. I love. That's a lot of loves, but I really
Yeah.
love filling up my journals. I don't know. I push, and I know Jen. She fills up so many journals, but I just love getting to the back of it, and you're like, oh man, I'm almost through with this thing. I love filling up these journals. That's so weird. Like, okay,
Do
I
you
can do 5 pages today, and I can fill this baby up.
do you know how long are you living in a journal before it becomes like a thing that you don't visit anymore? You ever
Oh,
come to the
I
end?
keep going until
Uh-huh.
yeah. I don't always go in order, but like I have some that maybe some of my store bought journals that maybe like some dilutions and stuff. Like one of them I did was just for faces. And I'm not really into theme journals, but I just wanted to do like a whole face journal. And then that turned into two face journals. And so it just really depends. If I'm out of the face mood at the moment, I'll come in and
Hmm.
do something a little bit different. But
Yeah,
yeah,
because it's
I
one of the,
usually stick with it. Like I rotate, like right now I've got this one going, that one going. This is also jerk junk journal style, and this is by somebody on Instagram too, Shelly. Be kind and have fun. So, but I don't work in. It's just like whatever page I feel like to work in that day. And a lot of times I only work on the right side. Sometimes I do double spreads, but
oh,
sometimes I just work on the right page. Yep.
interesting. Yeah, everyone does it different, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, because I have
I
had that
just work.
question. I live in a journal for, for a long time. I've had journals that I still put things in that are many years old, right? Like I don't, I just keep, as I say, I think with you too, it just doesn't, you never come to the end of creating in the journal. Um, but on some of the journals that I've submitted for that have been in Somerset Studios, those are ones that I felt like, okay, I'm done. I don't want to add anything more to it. And then I submitted those to share with people in the magazine.
Yeah, that one of the questions I got asked, I can't even remember. Somebody interviewed me and they said they were talking about like, do you have like this connection with your journals? And it's really weird, but for the most part, when I'm done with them, like I'm done. Like I've done what I wanted to do. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's not. I don't really. I'm not really. I've done what I came to do, and I got out what I needed to get out, and it is what it is. It'll just sit on my shelf. So, but yeah, the whole shipping the journal, and it may or may not make it back to you. I've got a few out there right now that I'm hoping just makes its way back to me eventually. I think one of them they've had for like a year. I'm like, did y'all
Oh,
forget
really?
that y'all have my journal or what?
Yeah, it does take them a while to respond, but it's exciting, when you go to Barnes and Noble and you see like your journal and your story, and um, it is nice to share it
Yeah,
with other people because I like looking at other people's
it
journals.
is.
I love
Yeah,
looking
I do
inside
too.
of
I
what
love
people have
flipping
created.
through
Uh-huh.
others. Me too. I agree 100%. Well, Julie, I think we are wrapping down here. What size journal is that one that you're flipping through right now?
This one I think is 3 by 5, 3.5 by 5. It's a little baby one.
Okay, that's a good
This one
size.
actually
Yeah.
was in Somerset Studios too. This one was one of the ones. But yeah, this
Recently or
maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I think, if I recall.
okay.
Yeah.
And is that that's a store bought journal then?
Yep. Yep. It sure is. It sure is. And I like this size. This is one of my
See,
favorite
I have
sizes. And then the other one is this one. So
so
this one I think is 5 by 5 or 7 by 7.
I found that you see how all of your pages are like the edges are all the same
Mm-hmm.
size. I like with a junk journal or with like mixed papers, but I like
Yeah.
how like how I can see that
Yeah.
um like different like levels or whatever you want to
Uh-huh.
call it. The same with this
Uh-huh.
one, like I just like looking at all of that goodness right there on the edges. So I've kind of steered away from the store bought ones because of my love of all of those pages being seen on the edges.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see that. And I think the thing that I like is that the bubbliness. So you can see all of the individual papers. I like that they're all kind of wonky. But I have
Yeah.
put napkins or tissue across and then rip the edges. And then that makes it look a little bit like watercolor paper. So there'll be a little raw, because
Oh,
there's
yeah.
pieces that stick off that'll give this raw edge. Since you like kind of a little rough. So then that kind of provides that kind of rough edge to things.
We've got somebody asking, what mixed media journal would you recommend?
I like the Delusions ones because of the size. And then I'm so bad about knowing manufacturers, and maybe I should get better at this. But whoever this is a handbook. So these ones I love
Yes.
because they have
I
a
would
very kind of thick
I would
pages.
if you haven't
Yeah.
tried, I would also recommend Arteza journals.
Mm,
If you haven't tried their paper, their mixed media paper is really nice. And then they also have one in the similar size that you have right there.
yeah.
Julie, in your hand, the square one, which I really
Hmm.
like. And then also, it looks like my battery is dying, but really quick, PJ says that Julie, Amazon has Leather Village journal that has handmade paper, and it is a
Ooh,
huge book. She has one, and I believe she took hers apart and made two journals out of it.
ooh,
So
Leather
that is
Village on Amazon.
Leather Village Journal. Yep, on Amazon.
All right. Thank you so much.
Well, guys,
Made
it
note of
has
that.
been an absolute pleasure having you here to hang out with us, Julie. And again,
Yeah,
if
thank
you are
you.
watching the replay and you are along with us, it is hashtag Giblet Chit Chat that we will be going back to check the hashtag to see all of the amazing creations you guys did. It has
So
been an
fun.
absolute pleasure hanging out with you today. Thank you so much for taking the time to come over on my channel. Don't forget, you can find Julie on Instagram at Red Dragonfly Studio. You can also find her on YouTube. And then, if you want to know more about her retreats, I believe you have that linked in your link tree as well, don't you?
Yes. Yeah, I do. In the bio.
Awesome.
Perfect. Well, Tiffany, thank you so much for inviting me and for this conversation and for new information. Oh my goodness, giblets and Leather Village journals and Artesia. And I learned about flea markets and I learned about your husband. And you got like, I'm just so grateful to have the time to visit with you and get to know you better. And so I look forward to continue to watch all the fun things you create and all the folks that follow your work create.
Awesome. I really enjoyed it, and I can't wait to have you on again. We'll have to do it again, ma'am.
Yes, please. Let's do it again. That'll be fun.
All right. Thanks, guys. Until next time.
All right.
Toodaloo.